Hey book besties, welcome back to another video. I am here with my brand new TBR cart. My birthday was last week and I am so grateful that my family finally got me the TBR cart I've been wanting for a couple of months now. I desperately needed this to store all the books on my physical TBR, and so today's video is going to be all about the new TBR cart addition to our book family. I've been seeing a ton of YouTubers post every single book on their physical TBR lately, and so I definitely don't have as many books as some of those. Some of them have like over 100 to 200 books, and like that is goals. Honestly, I would be really overwhelmed, but still goals. My physical TBR is a little bit smaller, but still pretty good sized, and I'm going to walk you through how I organize my TBR cart and also be walking you through individually every book on my physical TBR. Get comfy, get cozy. I'm in my PJs over here. Go grab a cup of coffee or a snack, and we're going to go through my physical TBR. I'm going to bring you up just a smidge here. We're going to start with the top shelf. So I tried to make this TBR cart as aesthetic as possible because there are some like gorgeous ones on Pinterest and TikTok and all the things, but I didn't fully succeed. My top shelf I'm pretty proud of. It kind of goes like rainbow order and I think it's really pretty. As we go further down, the color coding aesthetics kind of go out the window, but it's functional and it works for me, so we're going to call it good. My mommy's texting me. Hold on. So this top shelf is all the romance slash general fiction books that I want to read fairly soon. Book one over here, I have Friends and Strangers, and I actually have included this in my book haul and my mid-year book tag because this book is absolutely stunning. This is one of the most gorgeous books I think I have on my physical TBR. I don't know much about it, but I think it's just gorgeous. Next up, we have Book Lovers, and I actually have read like half of this book and I DNF'd it a few months ago. But after reading Happy Place by Emily Henry, it like inspired me to give it a second chance because I thought I just wasn't an Emily Henry fan, but Happy Place is one of my favorite books of the year, and so I have to give Book Lovers another shot. And then next I have two books by Frederick Brockman, and that is Anxious People, super popular, and also A Man Called Ove, which is super popular as well. Then I have Kristen Higgins' Pack Up the Moon. I've seen this book on TikTok. I'm sure you probably have too. Then I have Elle Kennedy's The Deal. And The Deal is actually part of the Off-Campus series, but I've heard really mixed things on the series as a whole. I heard they kind of start getting repetitive a little bit, so The Deal seems to be everybody's favorite, and it's the only one that I own the actual physical copy of. So as of now, I'm planning to only read The Deal and then kind of just read it as a standalone, and I'm not planning to continue the series, but let me know below if you think that that is a series worth giving a shot. I don't know. I have mixed opinions because there's so many books I want to get to that I'm trying to not read books that I'm not super invested in, you know what I mean? And then next, I'm going to move you, Lucy Score. We'll get back to you. Next, I have The Light We Lost, which is a really pretty book. I got this off Pango Books. I just thought it was super pretty. I honestly am not sure what it's about, but we're going to give it a go. Next up, we have It Happened One Summer, and I actually started this last summer and DNF'd it. And it's a book that is super duper loved, so I put it on my TBR again this summer, and it has sat there for all 3 summer months. So it's not looking good for this book, but we own it, so it's there if I ever want it. Next, I have Mia Sheridan's newest release, Stinger. I just read Most of All You by Mia Sheridan, and I really liked that one. Not as much as Archer's Voice, but I really liked it, and so I'm excited to read this new release by her. I have The Art of Racing in the Rain, Such a Fun Age, which I think is just another stunning book. I got this off Pango Books as well. And then I have Things We Never Got Over and Things We Hide from the Light. Sarah Caroli is my inspiration here. These books are really thick, and so I've been putting off reading them, but they are super popular and super loved by Sarah Caroli in particular, and I tend to like really jive with her book recommendations. I think she's the booktuber I like resonate with the most. I agree with the most on her opinions, and so we're gonna give it a shot, Sarah. I am very intimidated by the length of both books in this series, and there's a third one coming out, but we're gonna try. And then I have this other thick Lucy Score book, which is Rock Bottom Girl. This is, I think, a standalone, I believe. So this is a little less intimidating, so maybe we'll start here. But I think it's a really pretty cover, and I love the art. And then I actually sneakily have more books hidden behind here. So I have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, which is another super thick book. It's about World War II. I've heard absolutely amazing things about this book, but it is like 600 pages, and so I haven't gotten to it yet. Then I have 28 Summers by Ellen Hildebrand. I have tried to start this book like 3 separate times and I've not even made it to page 100 every time. I don't think it's necessarily the book. I think I just have never been in the mood for it when I picked it up. But it's definitely a book I want to read in the summertime, and summer is running out, and so I'm not sure if I'll get to this year, but it will be on my TBR again next summer if I don't. I also have The Hotel Nantucket, which is a similar situation with this Ellen Hildebrand thing. Sometimes her books are just so rich with plot lines and stories and characters that I don't have the focus for it, to be totally honest. I don't have the attention span, and so that's kind of what happened with this book. I started it and then I tried to switch to the audiobook because sometimes that's a little bit easier for me to get into, and neither one was sticking, so I guess we'll just come back to it. I want to start picking up the pace because we have a lot to get through. Okay, and then I have some like nonfiction or self-help books that I have on my TBR, and that is The Body Keeps the Score. My therapist has recommended this and I think it's really an interesting premise. I'm super excited to read this. Then I have The Defining Decade. Kenzie Elizabeth talks about this all the time on her podcast. Her podcast is I Love You So Much by Kenzie Elizabeth, and she really hypes up this book, and so I'm excited to read it. It's kind of all about your 20s. Then I have Drama Free, which is a guide to like family relationships and how to approach them without drama. Those all sound really interesting. And then we can start moving a little bit quicker now here on this second shelf here. Can you guys even see these books? I hope you can. We're gonna scoot you down. Do you want to come closer? Hey. Is that good? Can you see these? I hope you can see them. There we go. Okay. This second shelf on my physical TBR is thrillers slash fantasy slash anything that I deemed kind of darker than fluffy romance, to be honest. And so I'm gonna go through these pretty quick because I don't want you to be bored listening to hear me yap about all of these books because there's a lot. First, I have Behind Her Eyes, which is also a Netflix series. Then I have One of Us is Lying, which is also a TV series. Then I have The House in the Pines, a thriller. The Therapist, another thriller. The Last Mrs. Parrish, which is super popular, but I've heard it's very similar to Verity and The Housemaid, and so I put it off because I haven't wanted like a predictable plot line. Hoping to get to it this fall. Then I have The Woman in Cabin 10. I have The Good Girl by Mary Kubica. I have The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. I've read, why can I never remember the name of this book? I tried to talk about it in another video too, and I was like, Lisa Jewell. I read, what was it called? And Then She Was Gone. I think it was called And Then She Was Gone. Oh, yeah, Then She Was Gone. I have it. It's right here. Here it is. I read And Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, and so I bought another book by her. It's The Family Upstairs. And then I have, what is this one? I don't even know what this is. Hold on. I Let You Go by Claire McIntosh. I think I got this off Pango Books for super cheap. I don't even know what this is, but it's there. I have Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. She also wrote Gone Girl, which I love. I have the first 2 books in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, which I have heard absolutely amazing things. I haven't heard one bad thing about this series, and so I am really hoping to dig into this like late summer, early fall. Then I have The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, and I have the Unite Me. It's like both novellas from the Shatter Me series put into one book. So I have Unite Me. I'm actually in the middle of it right now because I've read Shatter Me and I'm in the middle of Destroy Me, which is the first novella in the series that comes after Shatter Me. Which reminds me, these are also on my physical TBR. I got the full Shatter Me set for my birthday. I have read Shatter Me. I bought the like standalone book, and so I read Shatter Me, but I still have Unravel Me, Ignite Me, Restore Me, Define Me, and Imagine Me to read. So I got this full set from my grandma actually for my birthday, and so this is also on my physical TBR, but it didn't fit on my cart, so it's up here. While we're up on this shelf, I also almost forgot to mention more books that didn't fit on my cart, so I'm storing them up above. But I have the Hunger Games trilogy, and I actually read the Hunger Games and like half of Catching Fire when I was in like 5th grade. But I want to revisit these as an adult because I think that they sound almost better to me now than they did when I was a kid. And catch me in my fantasy era this fall because I have a lot of fantasy on my TBR. Speaking of fantasy, I have the first book in the ACOTAR series, and I am so excited to read this. Yes, I'm intimidated by the length of the series, but more than anything, I think I'm intimidated by how many books are on my physical TBR. I'm in the middle of a couple of different series right now. Like I'm in the middle of Shatter Me, I need to finish the Addicted series, and I'm hesitant to start a new series, especially such a long one, but I do have the first book and I am committed to reading ACOTAR at some point. Okie dokie. I don't even think I can fit this. We're gonna go through these really quickly because I don't think you can even really see them down here. Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee. I have 2 by 2 by Nicholas Sparks, which is really pretty. I have Where the Crawdads Sing. I have Love and Other Words, which I've actually read before, but I read it when I was like super new to reading, so I want to read it again now and like annotate, highlight it, really appreciate the story. I have Never Never by Colleen Hoover, which actually is on my fairly immediate TBR, just because I've read every single Colleen Hoover book except for this one, because I was waiting for it to be like republished. They took a little hiatus and we're republishing the book, and now that it's out, it is definitely on my TBR because I want to be able to say I've officially read every Colleen Hoover book. Then I have Twisted Love, and I actually was gifted this book, but kind of like I was saying with ACOTAR, I'm hesitant to start another series right now until I wrap up a couple of the ones that are higher on my priority list. And so I do own this, but I probably won't be starting that anytime soon. Then I have Now That You Mention It by Kristen Higgins. She's the same author as Pack Up the Moon, which is up here, and I got this book for like $1.50 at a secondhand bookshop, so I own it, but I don't have immediate plans to read it. Next I have We Were Liars. I've heard terrible things about this book, so it's very low on my TBR. Just being honest here. Then I have The Girl on the Train. This is only lower on my TBR because I've watched the movie so much, and I've talked so much on this channel about how it's hard for me to read a book after I've watched the show or the movie. I do really want to read it though, it's just not high on my priority list when I have other books I want to read more. I have The Rescue by Nicholas Sparks. This is only low on my TBR because it's a pocket paperback, which are like these small itty bitty paperbacks. Like you can see it fits in my hand. And honestly the font's really small. So this is a book I'll probably have to get on my Kindle because the reading experience is just less than ideal. Then I have Icebreaker, which honestly isn't low on my TBR whatsoever. I want to read this in the fall or the winter this year. I have heard nothing but good things about this book. I know it's very spicy. So this is definitely on my TBR. I'm excited to read it, but it didn't fit on my top shelf, and that's just honest. This is another book that is actually super high on my TBR. I want to read this like first thing in the fall. That is A Little Life. This is another book I am a little intimidated by because it is very long. It's a thick book, but this is another one I've heard not one bad thing about, except that it is extremely deep, extremely hard to read, extremely dark, and so I think I just really have to be in the right headspace for it. You know what I'm forgetting? I have a couple more actually, hold on. I have 5 more pocket paperbacks like I was talking about where they're just small and less than ideal. I have 9 Perfect Strangers by Lane Mority. I have The Guardian by Nicholas Sparks. I have The Wife Between Us, the thriller. I have Final Girls and Blindsided, 2 more thrillers. Also have LA Candy by Lauren Conrad. This was 50 cents at a secondhand bookshop. I probably won't read this if I'm completely honest with you, but I own it. I also have some holiday books, but all of those are actually in my big Pango Books book haul that I posted, and so if you want to see those, go ahead and go there. I'm not going to include like specific holiday books on this TBR video. Okay, so I think that was everything on my physical TBR and a little tour of my brand new TBR cart, my baby here. I love it. I hope you enjoyed this video, got some new ideas for some books to pick up, some new reads, and let me know if you have any of these on your physical TBR too. Maybe we can read them together. Question of the video, comment down below the very next book on your physical TBR. Alright, that's all I have for you today. That is a little TBR cart tour and all the books on my physical TBR as of right now. I'm so excited to film some themed TBR videos coming up. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, book besties.